terming him as a loving and outstanding man of God whose servant leadership shall be missed by many. The late was known of speaking on critical matters affecting the society, such as drug abuse and addiction. Many thanks for joining us on this special edition as we put all that into perspective in memory of the fallen God's General who rescued many young people from addiction. And talking about that, we have one of the beneficiaries of the programs initiated by the late and aimed at rescuing young people from drugs in studio. And as we talk now, is pastoring a church in Juja. Let's get interactive on social media handles at CACTV_Kenya, Twitter and Facebook CACTV, as we get to understand together how it came to be from addiction to apostle. Welcome to the show, and many thanks for joining us here for this important and also a special edition of the God's General, the late Secretary General of the PCA Church.
Thanks a lot for welcoming me, and I take this opportunity also to thank God for bringing us also to such a point to be able to discuss and share about the effect of one man's decision to bring change in the lives of so many people. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Introduce yourself kindly and let us know who you are and where and which year did you meet the late Secretary General of the PCA Church.
Apostle Gilbert Thuo. I come from Juja, that's where I live, and also that's where I pastor a church, Refuge City Chapel. And I happened to interact with him in 2011, and much later got to be a part of programs that were started out to be able to help the youth and many people who were really going through struggles with addictions. Yeah.
We've talked about programs. Tell us about these programs. What were they called, and what was the aim of them according to your own understanding?
Yeah, there was Walevi Mission and then the Reformist Group. And we just got to know that there's something happening at PCA, and what even drew us to be able to go over there, it was not only about the programs. There was lunch for everybody. And we were like, wow, this is a church. And they're thinking about us. And if I can remember well, one of the times that I first went there, I didn't go there the other days. I only went one day, and we were there, and there were people who were talking to us in the church, and then we had lunch, and then we went home. And I think the other day I could not manage. Sometimes we used to get so high very early in the morning, so I just happened now to know. So there was Walevi Mission and the Reformist. And yeah, we thank God for the start of such programs.
This was when, dating back, which year?
I was there. I went there in 2012, 2013. Those are the 2 years that I can remember, because those are the 2 years that I really started being transformed. And then now on 2014, I was sober. So on 2014, when I heard they are coming back, I went there. And even now, by then, I was a recording artist. I was doing gospel music. So when I heard that they will be there, I went and yeah, did some music. And then after that, I followed up. There were ladies that were there. There were also other gentlemen who were in the leadership of the church. And there was two of them. One is called Pius Thuku, and the other one is Thiongo, Mr. Thiongo. And also there were two ladies. One is Tabitha, and the favorite of them was called Shosh. So when they saw me, they were like, oh, it's you. So, and you know, we just had to look back and see, oh, this is the guy, and now he's singing. So the people who are changing, I think, will be having some kind of a fellowship which will run throughout the year. And every Thursday we used to meet And coincidentally, I was the one who was teaching them. And I can remember that I wasn't fluent in Kikuyu, so some of these guys, you know, they had come from the ghetto. And now ministering to them in Kiswahili or English was a bit of a challenge, but I was able to be with them. We used to meet every week, and we used to have prayers. And apart from that, the leadership also had offered an opportunity for all that would change to be able to see if they can be able to engage them in economic activities that would also keep them busy and empower their lives. Yeah.
So we're interested to know, how did these programs now initiated by the late Secretary General, how did you know about it, and what was the approaches that he used to do so that he can get you from the dens and brothels to these programs?
They were mobilizing, and the information went fast, and you know, it's not hard to be able to reach out to these people. You know where they are, like where we were. You know, if it's those who go to those liquor joints, those who go to where they sell weed, and where we were, most of the time we were in another place. It was called Gashagi.
Personally, wewe ulikuwa wapi? Nataka kujua wewe ulikuwa wapi.
Nilikuwa mahali panaitwa Gashagi. It was a place called Gashagi. Yeah, it's in Juja. And that's where we were, and you know, we were like, okay, yeah, you guys, we can go to church. There's a meeting going on, and there is a workshop. And you know, the thought of, they had slaughtered, you know, one man came and told us, we have slaughtered a bull for you guys. So you should come, have lunch, and also be taught. And for us, it was very welcoming. You know, when you're living a life of, like, you know, when you're engaging in such habits, you're like an outcast. So even seeing somebody coming to you and welcoming you to church, to me, it was like a shock. I'm like, oh, yeah, in churches, you want to invite us to come to church? So that one, the invite itself was something that was not very common. Most of the time, when someone is high, you find yourself not relating well with so many people in the family, in the society, and you're also labeled. And so many people, maybe your peers, people you've grown up with, don't really want to be identified with you, because some of these things bring a lot of shame. So when we saw that there's a church that wants to identify with us, and they're ushering us to come and just as we are, and you know, in such a state, you're not very sharp. You may have even maybe gone several days without taking a bath, and you know, the liquor itself, when you drink that liquor, I'm telling you, most of those guys we were with didn't even have wives, because the stench that you produce in the morning, very few people can be able to put up with you. So for us, we were like going through phases of rejection, and we found acceptance. That's why it was easy. So, but most of the people went there because of eating. But me, I think I had come to my end, because that was like, you know, the end, the state whereby the symptoms of addiction that can lead to death were also evident in my life. Yeah, there are times I used to really tremble, and I used to have a seizure. Back in Gashagi, they call it Gaditima. And you know, when that thing hits you, it's like your mind is blank. It's like it's similar to like an epileptic attack or something. So you are there, and you look like someone who's doing some martial arts or something, because you are there and you've frozen. So then I joined them. So, but the first one, I wasn't very consistent, because you know, the pool, and because of the dependence, you can't really be able to sustain so many things. You can't be able to be consistent in working. You can't sustain crucial relationships. So sometimes having that regular pattern of getting a task done was not there. So in the first time, I went only for only one day, and then I didn't turn up. Yeah, but now in the next year, I went for the days, and we were there, and we were being taught, and there were good counselors, and they were teaching us about the effects of the various substances and the drugs and alcohol.
So where was this 1 year that you needed to turn up? What were you doing?
I was just in Gashagi. And my addiction started along way back. I started drinking when I was a child. And now back in the days, the people that I got exposed to, there are people who are also smoking marijuana. And then our form of learning, like in the peers, for you to be accepted in some groups, you're like, you have to do this, and if you're doing it more, you're the champion, so you're the hero. So I can remember that by the time I'm clearing primary school, some guys are calling me Dhuo Mangwai, and Ngwai is, it's weed. And as a young fella, due to the exposure and the environment that I was in, the guys are like, hey, you are the champ. Nobody smokes weed like you. Nobody, hakuna anachoma kukuliko.
Hakuna na kuchoma kuliko. Sasa mwaka mwingine ambapo pia ulirudi katika zile darasa, ilikuwaje?
Yeah, so the other year, it was better. I was able to, this is meant to be for my own good. But, even when we were there, and this is, something that, some of the withdrawals, for the sake of some of the withdrawals, we were there, but we got umejibebea. So the training is going on, but umejibebea kidogo. So you go out and you unagonga kidogo and you smoke a little bit, and then you come back, and then you look at these guys in church. They're not condemning you. There is a way that you feel like, kumbe these guys hawana shida na mimi, so hata kesho nitakuja. So it was not a matter of like, oh, you guys came for the training now, and we wanted you to change yesterday, but today you came so drunk, so go home. They didn't have that approach. And basically they were all out to really see what can be done, and that was the first move. I have never seen this. That was the first move in Juja. I have never seen it in any other place, like a church or a leader or a church leader took it up to himself to do something to be able to see if there can be a change in the society or in the community. So it was very, very inspiring. Yeah, it was very inspiring.
How were you able to keep off from alcohol? As you know, is also as you can also attest, it's difficult to maybe to stop these things.
It's not easy, but what happened? Because in 2013, that's when God really helped me, and I was able to do away with the habit. It's God. There's nothing that could have helped me, as in there was no other. I'd come to my end. But as I was telling you earlier, my story is a long story, because I started early and I got saved fast. To 2001, that's when I got born again. But in 2004, I went back to drinking. So you can see now they're like 9 years, from 2004 to 2013. So in between those 9 years, the only positive thing that happened to me was being a part of the program that was initiated at Juja PCA. So by the time I'm getting back on track and I'm desiring to change my life, having previously been born again, I knew how to pray. Consider it as an encounter I had with the Lord that really took away that. But someone had to be used to be able to guide me and many who were lost. Because in the same program, some were changed and also some went back. But there are some other cases that I can remember that we were having the Thursday meeting at Juja Township. And those guys really changed for the good. There were people who, they live in a place called Mushada, and that is now Juja Town. And you know that setting, like some of those guys live where the brew is sold. And if you can see that somebody is living near where changa is sold, and they're not going to drink changa, be sure of one thing, that person's life has been changed. When you see that person has started engaging in a business activity, that person had changed. And also the drive that was coming from the leadership was like, you guys, we are waiting for you to change. If you change, I can remember one time, and I hear it clearly, and I heard it clearly. And I remember it is one of the men who are in the leadership who are working with him, with Reverend Kaniah, and he was saying, you guys change. We have the money to be able to put up a business like a car wash. Go and look for a place that you can be able to set up a business that will keep you going. So the program was not only about us guys quitting drinking and using drugs. It was all about empowerment. What can we do for you guys? So you can imagine people who are coming from a place whereby nobody has ever asked you that question. If there's somebody else who was coming for us, maybe the police. Because in those dens, be sure, one day you will be arrested.
So how do you guys used to meet?
There was a team. There was a team. There were several elders from that church who used to mobilize. Yeah. There are people who used to pass around that information. And I think even there were even posters. Yeah. I remember I had kept one for memories. Yeah. But I don't know where I kept it. But there was a way that they were circulating the information to where we were.
Would you like to accredit the latest G for who you are today?
Sure. Most definitely. Because apart from the transformation that I received from my life, a very basic part of the ministry that I've done since 2014 has been all about going to the dens, going to the brothels, going to those main stages, going to the ghettos. Basically, that served as a very, very crucial foundation of my ministry. And I can attribute everything and everything we've done as a result of the outreach. So really, I honor God for that. And it took a man to be able to sow a seed, because that's what he did. He sowed a seed. And I was one of those people that really got it. And that one also cost me to be able to change personally as an individual, because when I sobered up, that's when I realized I had a talent, music, and then I was doing music. I started my own clothing line. It's called Disciple Wear Clothing. So I was selling my own clothing, and I was doing branding for schools, churches, and institutions, and that brand was doing well. I had even international clients. I remember there is one client that I got, and it was a Canadian company. No, it's a Canadian NGO, and they were really paying me well, as in. So it really helped me get another focus on life and get a vision to be different, and also to motivate other people to be different, to get a vision for their lives, to dream beyond their present circumstances. So we've been able to do this. Like every month I go out.
What is that important lesson maybe that you learned from the letter that you can attribute it maybe to what you are doing nowadays? What do you learn from him?
Passion. You got to have passion to be able to pursue some of these missions. That's one. And also two, the importance of mentorship. I realized that that's an area that we really were falling short of. And when you have a model or someone who you can look up to, that one was also a game changer.
So as we wind up with this conversation,
yeah,
what can you say actually? Can you say for whoever you are, it is, if it were not for this man of God who has fallen, who has left us, you couldn't have been who you are?
Sure. Yeah, the Bible tells us to give, honor where it's due. So, yeah, I attribute a larger part of my life and also what I'm doing in the streets, in the ghettos, to the lessons that I learned from Reverend Kaniah, and also his selflessness. That one also was kind of quite important, and I also thank God for that. Yeah, so yeah, it was a great loss, and yeah, and also feeling those shoes, It's not easy, but God has a way of also raising a people who can also be able to continue walking in the footsteps that he had started, to inspire, to motivate, and also to become the change that the society and the community needs. So for me, it was a call to rise and do something for my generation. And also to this day, basically, not a day goes without me reaching out to the addicts, without my going out to the dens. Not a day passes without my reaching out to somebody that is struggling with addiction. Because by the end of the day, not only does it affect the families or the individuals involved, with the sad ending, it also can lead to death. And there was a year I was like, Lord, I'm tired. These guys, they are dying too much. What can be done to be able to see if these lives can be sustained and they can be preserved? Mm-hmm. So it's also upon you and me also, as members of a certain family or a community or a society, to open up and to embrace people, because most of the people who are suffering from addiction really suffer from rejection. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you are able to embrace somebody who is going through this, you win the battle. And then one thing I've learned, not to condemn. Most of the people suffering from addiction, wameshasomewa sana. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Alisomewa na mwalimu, amefungwa, amepoteza kila kitu, the family. So I think that person does not need a lot of condemnation. So many people have really been on them. But if we can just be able to accept and embrace them the way they are, that's the first step. You accept somebody the way they are, and also show them love. Mm-hmm. If he tells you he's hungry, you may not give him money. There's a hotel nearby. Mm-hmm. Take him to the hotel. Yes. Buy them food. Let me tell you, you will be sowing a seed in that person's life, and you will realize that this person is changing. So if you have a brother or a sister going through the same, be kind to them. Give them hope. Give them hope for tomorrow. Yeah. So thank God.
Thank God
for the chance. He's a God of a second chance. And as he used Reverend Kaniah, I would also want to be used of God in this generation to give hope, and also to shine the light, and also to show many that the path to sobriety and sober living is the best for yourself, for your family, and also for your future. You will live longer.
That's
you
so
will
powerful.
Save more. When you're not using your finances on alcohol, you will save more. Mm-hmm. The cost of these habits is quite high. That's why you cannot fail to associate drug abuse and crime rate. Some of these drugs are kind of expensive, and when you use them, you don't work. What happens? You have to get money to be able to sustain the habit. So someone has to go and steal. Jamaa lazima aende akapige watu ngeta. Ndiye aweze kufanya nini? So
apate mlo
kabisa. So but it's an opportunity for us as believers to impact and bring the change that is needed. And I thank God for PCA as a church, also for raising such a leader. And I pray that many more leaders will be raised also through the PCA, and also the body of Christ kwa jumla in this nation.
Thank you so much.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Apostle Duo, for making time to come here to share such lessons that you learned from the late Reverend Kaniah, and also telling us if it were not for him, you couldn't have been who you are today. And really thank God for who you are today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that's where we wrap up conversation today with Apostle Duo, talking about paying the last salute to the late Reverend Kaniah, who passed on Sunday and also buried yesterday. My name is Francis Ngala. See you next Friday.